This video is just meant to be a crash course on Razer. I touch on just about everything. There's a few things I don't use though, so I don't know what they're for. But we're gonna touch every tab and every sub-tab on the tabs and give you a general idea of what all this stuff in this little window that pops up when you hit play does. I do have some crafting going on in the background. Excuse the numbers. Enjoy the blues as they pop up. Alright, so on your first page of Razer, General tab, this drop down will just say default. You can, however, add new, clone, or delete these as they come up. You can see I have like one for lockpicking. Korgrim was one of my characters who was a lockpicker. I duplicated that into lockpicking, so it doesn't need to exist anymore. So we're gonna delete that. Yes, and we're gonna use this one just because this is one of the profiles I use a lot, so this is the one we're going to use. Taskbar system tray always on top means that even if you click on the game in the background, it will stay on top. I don't like it on top all the time. Opacity, it doesn't show on OBS, but opacity will change the opacity, and then there's several different languages. I don't know what these are, I only use English. Then we have the options tab, which has speech and messages. You can change messages from Razer. These are like if you're about to run out of something, or like if you start a script, or if you want to change the colors, you can. Show container labels, which will show labels for containers that you can add here. I don't use this. I'm sure it's super great. I can't speak to its usefulness because I don't use it, but I do know containers will be labeled. We'll show that later. We're not to that yet. Targeting queues, this is primarily where thieves are going to go to change their object delay so they can move your items around and see under things. We'll cover that in my How Thieves Behave video later. I don't use any of these other options, so I really just can't speak on them. Sorry! This was a thing used back in the day when you could drag stacks of ore or logs or whatever with you, but it's not really necessary on here because they don't weigh a lot and there's forges and stuff everywhere, so don't use this. Block dismount in war mode keeps you from accidentally double clicking yourself and getting off your mount in combat. Block trade requests, party invites, like if you have problems with all this stuff, you can turn that off. I haven't really noticed an issue with it on here. This will affect if they move, I think. Animation, I'm gonna guess that turns the animation off. Count stealth steps, this is for if you have stealth and hiding. You can change the format and stuff. There's a spot later where we can make it appear over your head. Display counters, this will show, you can change this, it'll show what's on the top, like how it says my name and all that stuff. I don't know if anybody uses this for anything else. I guess you could. This is where you can change if you have like a certain number of whatever. You can have Razer warn you when it's below that number, which can be used in conjunction with this, which we talked about in my newbie video, episode 1. You can set these to different numbers. Clearly I don't use this. I just run out of stuff and, you know, freak out when I do. It's a good thing to use though. Bandages, probably set that, you know, to around 25 or so, and then every time when you get below 25, it'll say, warning, you have less than da-da-da-da-da. This is good to use, though. Auto search new containers will check containers you bring onto you, add it to this, change the warn below number, add stuff, you know, recount. It's a good thing to use, I just don't because I'm a bad player. Bandage timer, I suggest, I don't know what the default is this. If it's not turned on, I suggest you turn it on, turn it to overhead. I have it set every 2 seconds on my warrior. This is a different profile than my warrior. So it's every, I guess the default's every 3 seconds. You can change what it says. You can change the color. I just leave it as the default. I have it, like I said, every 2 seconds because I panic when I don't see it, and sometimes it fades out and I heal too early, and that's a whole other thing. I suggest you, if you use bandages, I suggest you spend some time here, figure out what makes you happy and what makes you feel good. Do that there. Overhead messages, a lot of stuff can be done here, right? So you can edit these, and like it'll tell you when there's hamstring, you know, the default ones, taunt ready, flee when you're tracking something that's close. Someone is skulking, so like if you step over somebody that's hidden or a mob that's hidden, it'll tell you, and you can change what the text is that appears over here that triggers this. This is a super good tool. It's good for stealthing specifically. If you click show, I'm pretty sure that's what turns it on. And then you can search in system messages for stuff that has happened recently. And that is like, obviously I'm working on tailoring, right? So my system messages are full of tailoring stuff. So if I didn't want to show it, I could click on it, select it, add text to display overhead every time that shows up down there. But I don't want to do that because I don't want, this is enough spam as it is on the left. It's good for lots of things once you're ready to get to that advanced level and learn how to use it, because it will. This could be a whole video all of itself, and it might be at some point. Let's see, I have my thief should have a custom. Oh wait, no, that's someplace else for stealth steps. Okay, well, anyway, that's what this does. It'll show the little messages over your head. I suggest turning it on, using it. Arm dress, I don't use this, obviously. I tried to use it for wizard hats for my thief. I just ended up using a basic. When they see a PK come in, they'll swap to, say, leather armor, so they take less damage from Mind Blast. That's what this can do if you're changing gear a lot for some reasons. Besides that, I can't really think of a reason why you would be frequently switching out gear, but maybe there is one. That's what this is for. Skills. This will allow you to see how I've got my skills and stuff down here. It will match up to on here. This would be something good to do as a brand new player. You could just set all locks and set them all to locked, and then go through and just tick up the ones you want, so you don't have to do like we did in the last video. You can see your plus or minus skill gain. So for example, I've gained 1.4 tailoring since I hit reset earlier. You can show it, which I believe that shows it overhead. So every time I gain a skill, it should show that plus or minus overhead. And then you can, like I said, you can reset it periodically. Set all your locks. You can actually change your locks and unlocks from here. I prefer to do it on the skill thing down here. I don't like to do it in Razor just because it's just a bunch of back and forth. But this is really good for that. Agents, there's several kinds of agents. There's a buy agent, which what that will do, you can add, say, I don't have anything in my bag. Say I wanted to buy scissors. Let's shrink this down for a second here. Say I wanted to buy scissors. I could click on add target, buy, enter the amount, say I want 50. Now when I click on a vendor and I select buy, or I say vendor buy, if that vendor sells scissors, I will buy up to 50 of them. You can edit it, change the amount, you can remove it, clear list, turn it on and off, set a hotkey, organize, lets you organize items into containers. For example, my organizer one is for when I'm lumberjacking. I push the hotkey and it moves all my boards into my boombox so people can't steal them without blowing up. You have to periodically push clear hot bag to set a new one, and that's how you set a new one. So like if I had a box on me, I'd hit clear and I'd click the new one if I had a new one. Organize now, we'll make it organize now, set a hotkey. This is what I use. You set a hotkey and then it will run this organizer, put all your boards in the bag, and then you can just go about what you're doing. There's a whole bunch of them. Restock. This will move items into your bag from another container. So like say you're standing near a bank or something and you need to pull, you want so many items in your inventory, you can add whatever you want and set the amount, and then it will restock whenever you run this. And you can run all of these from scripts too. It'll restock and it'll pull them from the bag into your inventory. So you could say tinker in town but only have like 5 or 10 items at a time in your bag, and then you could use something we're gonna show here in a second to sell them back. Scavenger, this will pick stuff off the ground, specifically things like arrows and crossbow bolts. You can add them so as you're running around, your guy will automatically pick them back up. Super handy for archers for sure. Auto search, I don't know what that is. Sell. This is a sell agent used for previously mentioned tinkering. You can set your necklaces, for example, because that's what you do with the necklaces when you tinker. You can set your necklaces to a sell agent. Then whenever you sell to a vendor, it won't even open up the screen. It'll just sell all of them you have. I think you can only sell 50 items at a time, so you might have to do it a couple of times to sell everything in your bag. I don't know what use once is. I'm sorry, but that's what the other agents do. They're super handy. I use the organizers. I use one. Wait, three should be. Oh, this is a different. I use two of them. I use one for boards and one for ingots to move them into boomboxes. It's super good when you're mining. Filters. If you want to filter out stuff, sheep sounds, horse sounds, cat sounds, all this kind of stuff, you can, if you don't like whatever noises, filter, just about anything. I like all the noises. I don't filter anything. Some people hate spell fails, fizzle sound, backpack sounds. Text, you can filter text, which will keep it from coming up over here on the left. You can see I have added some stuff onto here just because I don't care about the bandage. I don't care if it's not damaged. Like, I don't care about a lot of this stuff, so I filtered it. Again, you can add and you can use the system message like before and just do it that way. It makes it really easy to add stuff like as you're like, oh, I don't want to see, when I have 111.6, so you can filter it. You can filter, snooping system, all this stuff. A lot of scripts will have you turn off repeating system messages because they use them for things. Sound, this is where you can filter specific sounds. Again, I like all the sounds in the game. I want all of it, but if there's a sound that just drives you nuts, this is where you come filter it. And you can play it to make sure it's the same one. I don't use this. I love the music. I love all the sounds. It adds depth to the game for me, but if there's something you don't like, there you go. Target, if you wanted to add something that you, for some reason, to be ignored by Razer completely. I don't know a use scenario for this because I don't use it, but if for some reason you have something you want Razer to completely ignore, this is your place. Hotkeys. This is similar to the hotkeys in-game, but way easier to set up because if you have a hotkey assigned to the same in Razer as you do in-game, I am pretty sure that the Razer takes precedence, as seen in the newbie video when I died and I tried to heal and it said I didn't have the right spell. It's in here. It goes back to your agents. If you don't want to change the agent hotkey for some reason over there, you can with dress. The big one though is like you type an ability like, say I want to cast recall. Well, I have some scripts that use recall, right? So I could reassign those here, or I could do the spell. Change it to, Control Alt Shift at the same time. The bandage self, like we set up in the last video, you could do that here. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here. Pretty much anything basic you could want. Macros. This is where you are gonna set up basic macros. Like I have, execute bandage self. I don't use this though. I use a basic script now, but you can record. Say you're trying to figure out something. Record. Test item. Okay. Record. And then item identification. Say I want to learn to train item identification. I click on my scissors. It added that. Stop. Okay, so it'll use the item ID skill. It'll wait for target. It'll do an absolute target, which means it will only target that set of scissors. In a lot of cases, you don't want absolute targets, so you're going to right-click on that, which the pop-up menu doesn't show, but it's there, I promise. You're going to right-click on that, you're going to go down to Convert by Target by Type, and then it will convert it to this, that's the ID for scissors, so then it will just, any scissors nearby, it'll target. This is good for targeting specific items that you don't want to be associated with that exact version of the item. This is good for, I use it to armor crate up my armor. Double click the empty armor crate, which is that, wait for target, and it'll target any plate mail in my bag, and it will put it into crates. Just makes it a little bit easier to mass produce armor. This is going to be your super best friend. You're going to do a lot of stuff in here. If you want to loop it, over in the bottom right, because you're training item identification, that's great. You can right click, go to special constructs. It's not showing, I know, I'm sorry. Insert or wait or pause, and a little window will pop up. 1,000 milliseconds, for example, is 1 second. It'll put it there. You can move it up, move it down. That's not going to be long enough for a skill, but like you get the idea that you can add custom actions there. Options. This lets you fine tune it a little bit on how you want things to be added. I don't use this screen. I just use the right click context menu, but maybe if you're just a super heavy macro user, that you'll get some value out of this screen. I don't. Scripts. This is where all your scripts are going to be listed. These are the ones I have. I have a couple that don't work that I've been trying to use as learning tools, like the Strangelands Dexter bot. It doesn't work, but it's got a lot of stuff in it, so I can see how to like find type red potion. There's like some all-in-one lockpicking scripts. I've been trying to figure out where the section of them that loots the chest, so if somebody's lurking around the chest, I can do that. I haven't been able to figure it out, but this is where all your scripts are. You can add them to different categories. Like I have a leveling one, which has not leveling stuff in here because I'm not a very organized person sometimes. But you can organize them into categories to make this a little bit easier. The options, these are variables from various scripts. You can autosave, which I suggest you turn those on because I frequently forget to save scripts. This will save you a little bit of headache. Disable playing finished. It'll show up down here on the left side where all the spam is. I don't use that. I don't know why. I don't know. It's fine. Friends, if you want to set a certain player as a friend, there's nobody else on the screen, but like you can set them as a friend. Show the overhead tag as a friend to help you remember people. This is something I should probably use because I have a terrible memory, but I don't. But if you want to, you can. It's here. Screenshots. You can set up a screenshot hotkey back in the hotkeys menu, and it will take a screenshot. You can set where you want it to be. Capture death of other players. Capture your own death. That's interesting. Didn't notice those before. Anyway, you have the options to do that. Timestamps, all that super fun stuff. You can change where they save. Advanced. You want to set a different folder. I suggest you create backups in a Google Drive or similar folder. That way, if something happens, you don't lose all your scripts and macros and all that other stuff. If you need your player serial or backpack serial for some reason, there they are. This was just meant to be an introductory crash course eraser. I understand there's some things I don't know what they are, but now you probably know a whole lot more than you did before when you came in, which was the goal. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I will do my best to answer them. Enjoy your time in Outlands. Have a great day.